Okay,
Oh, I wasn't really lagging.
it's about to be a real scuffed podcast, boys.
It's about to get sexy in here.
Oh,
So
sick.
we got the boys here. Um,
How are my levels?
you all sound good to me. So
Am I clipping?
no, no,
Is it
no,
too loud?
no, you're good.
Good.
So we're going to be talking about quarantine and how COVID-19 has just fucked everybody.
Mm,
Yeah, like
absolutely
we're all
love that.
we're scuffed. We're scuffed, boys. It's just
I'm just
like
more like, I mean, I don't know. I I worked for quite a bit of it, right? So
yeah,
like, I don't. I'm only starting to now like see the effects that a lot of people that I know saw like weeks ago.
Mhm.
So it's like I don't know how's it been like. I mean, I don't know how's it been for you guys not working. Like, I mean, I feel like you guys got a month or a couple weeks on me.
I didn't really. I hadn't had it. I haven't had a job since summer of last year, so I haven't really. I didn't know that it was such a big deal coming out of it, like in like the business side of things at least. But coming out of school and having that like 2 week period of doing things online for the last 2 weeks of our semester, that was what was fucky. It was such a big difference going from in class learning because my course is pretty hands on and going from in-class
Yeah.
activities going straight over to online where you just have to read over notes and I'm like no.
Like, what did you even do?
Wrote discussions and did some assignments. It's just some essays, that's about it.
Yeah, that's about the same for me. It's that, and then it was that one project,
Yeah,
which is shitty.
yeah, we had a portfolio project to do, so
But how did you do that? Was that just with the work that you did like throughout the entire year?
yeah, you chose a couple of pieces of work that you found that were exemplars of how you learn certain things and like what like show off your skills in like a course, so that's really
Yeah.
it. So we're gonna touch on like personally, how have you guys been feeling? Like your own thoughts on this whole COVID like 19 virus?
Well, I've heard a bit more. I mean, okay, it's a little like I'm no scientist. I'm no you know global journalist. Like I don't know a lot about it, but from what I've heard, there's a lot of talk about how China withheld information. Like I don't know how true it is, but they're saying like there was up to a 6 day discrepancy period between China knowing that it was able to contract between humans, and then the World Health Organization releasing that information and getting it out there. So there's like and like at the beginnings, 6 days is a lifetime.
That is true, especially since it's such
So
a
that
contagious virus, right? Like it can just be carried at person to person, right?
yeah, and like nothing got really closed. Now there is the argument to be made that well they didn't really expect it to go that crazy, so like it would have shut things down immediately. Because like even because we've known about it for a while,
Yeah.
and I remember talking about it and being like, ah, it's not a huge deal.
Oh yeah, same.
It'll just be another one of those things. It'll be like H1N1. It'll be like
Yeah. All,
Ebola, where it
all
Mhm.
like
that, or
touched.
just it goes away within like a couple of months, right? Like if
Yeah, like I never would have thought this would have gone crazy.
Mm-mm.
So for that one reason, I don't think we can um, hold governments to any higher standard, especially when they have the economy in mind. Because it's like,
Oh yeah.
well, the economy is fragile as it is. So I think they underestimated it just like we did,
Oh yeah.
and they should have done more. Like that would have been better. But they, I myself didn't think it would be this crazy, so I wouldn't have done anything different.
Yeah. I guess it also kind of touches on like how we could have at least like scaled down and like flattened the curve as fast as we could. Besides kind of going, well, let's just have a feel out period and see like, how it goes. I feel like as
Well,
soon as
some
it
places
like
are doing better than others.
oh yeah, definitely. I know some countries like if there's a case of COVID, they're just shutting that like area down and like locking it down.
Well, you know who did the best? South Korea.
Yeah.
Because like as soon as the shit went
Yeah.
down, like South Korea is already basically back to normal now. Like as soon as the shit went down, they
Mhm.
immediately closed all the borders. They
Hmm.
immediately closed the economy. They rolled out hundreds of thousands of tests the same night.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they reacted instantly, isolated everybody affected, and now they're getting back to normal. They flattened the curve before shit even got. I
Oh
think that
god, yeah.
because our economies are at a much grander scale, we were a lot more reluctant to put things on pause.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck, Staples was open for customers until what 3 weeks ago.
something like that.
I know a lot of companies have been like that too, though.
Yeah, so like it's not like it's uncharacteristic of like a company to be like, oh, I don't want to close down right away, right? Like they have a
Well,
lot
yeah,
of other interests in mind. They
that's
have
what I mean. Like
a bottom line to meet.
yeah, like stockholders, paying bills, everything like that. Like
Yeah.
there's different objectives with different companies. Like some companies like they need to stay open because the debt and whatever if they ever have that, and they need to pay their employees for the whatever, right?
Yeah. Like margins are razor thin as it is. So
Oh, yeah.
like the fact everyone's like, oh, why didn't companies close right away? Well, fucking they got other shit to worry
That's
about.
what I
They
mean.
didn't pre-
Right? They have shit to pay, and if they don't, they're gonna be in some bad, deep shit.
So I think all things considered, Canada's doing a little bit better with it. What's
Oh,
driving
yeah.
me crazy is all the places that are reopening so soon, even though they're
You
getting, shaft.
you know what's driving me crazy?
What's that?
Americans.
Yeah.
At least not
Well,
all of them. Not all of
And a
them.
lot of
Okay,
Torontonians.
let me be clear. Not all Americans are being dumb, but the ones that are saying that since their governors and the president have said, stay in your houses for the quarantine, just stay in your houses, and we'll see how we can flatten this curve. They're saying that they are being forced to stay in their houses, and the argument they're pressing against that is, you will not infringe on our freedom.
You know who's actually being forced to stay in their houses, or was being forced to stay in their houses? Chinese people. The government was sending militia to weld doors shut.
That's what I mean. Like, that's being forced. Being told to do something. Okay, the another argument that I saw was, you can't tell you. I will not be told to do something because I have the own sense and logic to do the thing you're telling me not to do. And I'm like, just stay at home. Like,
And then it's like they can't even have the common sense to stay at home on their own will.
that's what I mean. Like, people.
Well, they say, hey,
Yeah.
well,
If you have this,
you're forcing us to do this. I already know I'm not going to do anything like that. Well, you are.
That's what I mean. A lot of the
they're
people.
literally doing it to protest that.
And I know.
And now we have the big protests, which is based like literally these anti-lockdown protests is legit like shooting your car's engine for misfiring.
It's like your car like has like one bad fault, and you're just like bang, bang, bang. it's it's the dumbest thing I've seen in a long time. And I'm not saying that all Americans are doing it, but I'm saying the majority that are saying that you guys are being oppressed just because you're being told to stay inside. And the counter argument is that you have enough logic and you should be able to choose whether to stay inside or not. You're just being told to stay inside. I don't see any military coming to your doors or law enforcement coming to your doors and forcing you to stay inside.
And it's not like we're doing it for any other agenda besides your own, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like if it was
If
it was an agenda for like a political party or like something along those lines, I can see how you would be being forced, to be inside your houses.
Yeah, it might feel shitty.
Otherwise, you're not being forced at all. You're being told.
And what's funny too is like, did you see the thing I put on my story the other day about how it was like, when Americans are told to stay inside. With
Yeah,
their,
that's what I was. That's what I was trying to reference was.
TVs.
Yeah, we're being
that,
oppressed.
All this luxury. Help, we're being repressed. Like shit like that.
It's like, dude, stop. I don't
like,
understand. Okay, my one problem with Americans is all of them being very headstrong about the Constitution and how they're being all fucky. Oh, and apparently we lost one. Oof.
That's okay. Trevor, I think his Wi-Fi might be shit. That's alright.
But it's just like, I don't understand why you have to be so caught up in your Constitution besides saying, oh, like my freedom is such a big thing and I need to keep that. I'm like, dude, just chill, okay?
Well, what's interesting to me is like it's not at all an isolated thing. It's not mutually exclusive. It's just now like throughout most of history, Americans have traced back and said, "Oh, this is unconstitutional. This is this, that, the other thing. This is not what our." It's like, well, times have clearly changed, right?
Oh yeah.
Like yes, in a perfect scenario, you have complete freedom. The economy's open. Most of the time. Sure, the Constitution should be withheld. It's a pretty basic set of rules. But this is a very, very different situation.
Oh yeah.
So the fact of the matter is, we can't really fall back on that because times are not just like, chronologically changed, not just like things have advanced, which they have. It's not just that, it's that there's a global pandemic unfolding as we speak.
Yeah.
So we can't afford to say, well, we need to do this because that's what's been written down. That's the rule. It's like, well, no, things should change right now for the better because if not, shit will get out of hand as it has.
That's it. It's what I mean. It's at that point where we know like it's starting to calm down, but the thing is, we could have had it shut down so much earlier. But then again, like you said earlier, you couldn't really. You had that playtime where you were kind of like, we don't know, right?
Well, it's tough to really write home the severity of a situation unless you're
Yeah.
feeling it firsthand. Like I'm sure that, for instance, the hurricanes that struck Haiti, I remember that.
Yeah.
When I was a little bit younger. And even though I was like, oh, that's really, really bad, I still don't think I understand the actual severity
Oh,
of it.
yeah.
Like homes being torn to shreds, all your assets being ruined. Like I can't even fathom that. So unless something happens on your soil visibly to you, unless shit changes where you're at that disrupts your way of life, odds are you're not going to really
Understand
advocate
like
for any
the
meaningful change unless you're
yeah.
radical.
That is fair, yeah.
So no, honestly, like people, I hear a lot of people being disappointed in the way that we handled this shit as as a planet. And I mean, could we have been more prepared? Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
But I think the course of how it went down is about on par with how people react.
That is a fair point, yeah.
But no, what's weird to me is all of the municipal governments and even states governments reopening their economies in the United States, where they are still seeing no plateau in
Oh
the
yeah.
curve. It's still
Right.
rising, and they're like, "Let's get this shit back."
Okay, let's open. We need money. Right?
Yeah, it's like, well, not the fucking time. Like Las Vegas,
Oh my god, dude.
Las Vegas is reopening.
That's gonna be
That's
such
crazy
a
to me.
that's a hell central for that.
I know. Although, what's kind of funny? I don't think it's going to go as bad as everybody thinks. Not that I want the economies to reopen, but the stigma is still very much there. And even in countries that have fully reopened restaurants because the curve, like it's all but gone, they're finding slower traffic to those restaurants and other like unnecessary
Yeah.
things. Get by on my own at home just fine. I don't have to eat it out. Like, I find that kind of funny.
Yeah, it is very interesting to say the least. I think a lot of time is a lot of us are getting very itchy with being at home and being isolated, right? A lot of us can like thrive on it with it being home. A lot of us already have like the home bodies and we can just chill at home. We go what we need to and whatever. But the people that are doing the whole let's go out in our cars and like chill in the parking lot kind of thing, I'm so like you're still, you know,
It's not tremendous. I
it's not
understand
tremendous,
that
but
it's happening.
yeah,
Like I understand why it's happening. I mean I've done it myself
no,
once or twice.
like if I had the
Uh,
choice to, I would as well, right?
uh,
Like I'm pretty sure a lot of us, if we had the opportunity to go out to see our friends in this quarantine, I know we all would, but I know we would
yeah.
all be safe within doing it.
The reason I am not contextually I'm pretty comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? There was something that went out saying Northumberland County, all the known cases had been resolved.
Hmm.
That was like a week ago. There
Damn.
was 13 cases and they're all solved.
I know one was in Peterborough. There's
Yeah.
a couple in Lindsay.
There was one hospitalization in the Northumberland Hills Hospital, but I think that got resolved,
Yeah.
if I'm not
As
mistaken.
far as
That
I
being said, it can go around without being,
oh
known.
god, yeah. Because well, I
So
think
it's not like it's all fine and dandy.
because there's a period within like where you have the symptoms and where you like contract it, have the symptoms, then get sick. I think.
You can get it and lose it and be completely asymptomatic throughout the entire ordeal,
Oh yeah.
and just pass it along.
Yeah.
So it's because because that it's slowed down a lot here, I'm a little less apprehensive to occasionally meet up with somebody and go for a walk outside or
Like
that
that.
kind of
Yeah.
thing.
That's what I mean. Like.
Never would I invite them into my own car because that's like a little ecosystem.
Yeah.
The only person I really drive with is the guy that is down the street. And that's because we lived together at the beginning of the quarantine, so I'm a little more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
But no, it's definitely going to be stigmatized for a while. Is
No,
the
yeah.
problem?
I think.
It's like, oh, you're hanging out with more than 5 people,
Right.
even when this shit's gone, right? Like
People
it's
are
gonna be
still gonna.
like that for a
It's
while.
definitely gonna be that weird in between period where everyone's like, "Are we sure we're good? Like to do things, right?" And if we see people like a bigger crowd of like five, we're still gonna be like, "Uh-oh, y'all gonna make it pass around again?" Like as you were saying,
Yeah.
right? I
Well, the
also,
fact of the matter is, it's gonna go around again, anyways.
oh god, yeah. Well, I by the time it goes around again, I hope we have like things set in stone to where we can avoid it or flatten the curve like just like that if we need to.
Well, the thing is, I predict that it is going to just be another flu, another seasonal thing.
I do,
Because
yeah.
like even if we get a vaccine, it's not going to eradicate it
Hmm.
entirely. What's probably going to end up happening is that you will have people who choose not to get in because yeah, you and I both know that the whole effectiveness of immunization comes from herd immunity.
Oh yeah,
So when you have a vaccine, not everybody needs to get it for it to be effective. So I think that it's going to pass around to people who can't get it, don't get it, even people who get it and it wears off or it mutates. It's going to pass around, but just a lot slower.
yeah.
It's going to slow down maybe to the speed of influenza,
At
maybe a little faster.
best case scenario, yeah, I would say it would slow down just above influenza, but I don't think it'll get down to that level.
No, maybe not that low in severity.
But
Well, the problem is the reason it's so antibodies for it because I hear a lot of comparisons where it's like, oh, it's just like a flu. It's
yeah,
just a respiratory flu, like whatever. Well, yes and no. It's a lot more contagious, but I think there's a bit of a fallacy in the numbers, right? Because people say, oh, well, if you have influenza, you're going to pass it on to this many people because it's
yeah,
not that contagious. But this is way more contagious. I think. Well, I feel like everybody I know has had the flu.
yeah. That's what I mean. Everyone that I think I've known has definitely had a version or has had the flu,
Yeah.
and it's always just been
Like
like,
I had the flu last. I had the flu before prom,
when did I have
right?
last have the flu? I think I had like a 74-hour flu or something, or it hit me really hard, and then I was fine afterwards. But that was
I had a week-long flu and I lost 10 pounds, man. It was brutal.
fuck.
Yeah. But no, because we've built up somewhat these antibodies, our bodies are more prepared, and that slows the spread of
Oh yeah,
the common flu. Whereas nobody even heard about this COVID-19 virus. Nobody had any antibodies, so it's spreading to everybody much quicker because it can affect you that much quicker.
yeah.
You know,
Especially since like it's more or less affecting the senior citizens of our communities, since they're
like, and nobody's died from COVID-19. You die from getting pneumonia because you
yeah.
get susceptible
That's what,
because
yeah.
of COVID-19, right?
That's the bad thing is it's just infecting the respiratory and like it's just making your immune or not immunity. What's the word I'm looking for here? Like the antibodies will fight it off. Like older people, they just don't have them anymore, and their immune system is
Yeah.
just it's
And
going down
while
the
the
drain.
antibodies and while the white blood cells that they do have are fighting off COVID, it makes them more susceptible to pneumonia,
Yeah.
which is already a big problem.
Mhm.
So the fact of the matter is, the only reason it's as bad as it is because nobody had it,
Yeah.
and it is sweeping the nation way faster than any flu, and it is overwhelming our medical system. So
Oh
that's why it's so bad. I think that as an actual virus, it's maybe a little more severe than the flu,
yeah.
just because we've never seen it. We don't really have the immune systems for it,
Mm-hmm.
but
That's what I mean. Like especially like the point. Yeah, I'm gonna branch off of was when you said we didn't really like understand the severity and how much it just kind of swept over us. But I do also feel like it is somewhat like influenza, but it's not the same since it makes you more susceptible to other, known viruses and diseases. It's like you said, it's very well just a big wave of it, and then we just didn't know how to handle it. And we don't. Our medical staff are kind of just like, well, we don't really know what it is and what to do with it besides try to figure something out and like relate it to something.
well, I often think about if influenza as we know it today, if that had never been a thing, and we eventually evolved to a world like we have today with air travel, with essentially one global economy. And I wonder that if influenza came to fruition in under the same circumstances as COVID-19 did, if it would sweep the nation as badly. And I think it would.
Oh,
I think the
probably.
only reason influenza is not as bad as COVID-19 is because it's been around forever.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Like we've been evolved slowly to defend against it. We still get sick because of it. That's
Oh yeah.
just how a flu works.
But it's not affecting our immune system as bad as something new that we don't know about and that our bodies don't know how to fight off.
Sure. And people die from the flu all the
Oh
time,
yeah, definitely.
you know? So it's not like it's out of left field to die from a flu.
No.
And I think that's kind of where a lot of misinformation gets spread is like, oh my God, this thing is killing people. It's like, well, all flus do.
Yeah.
What pisses me off the most is I keep seeing these posts online from people who are first of all, what it is, it's fear mongering.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
when they post these things where it's like, I'm 19 and I had this happen when I got COVID. It's like, dude, everyone's immune systems are
Mm-hmm.
right. Right? And you see all these things where it's like, oh, I'm 22, I got COVID. I'm 19. Here's what happened. Oh, a Twitter thread. Take COVID-19 seriously. Here's what happened to me. I had hard breathing. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't drink. It was blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, sure. Some people don't have that.
That's I mean that's your experience. There's also been posts like on Twitter that I've seen where people have had COVID and they just didn't know they had it.
Well, look at fucking Tom Hanks. Like, he has COVID. He's in isolation and he's fine.
Yeah.
He's not even on a respirator, I don't think.
I
Like,
think
he's not doing that poorly.
I also
He
think
just has it.
Idris Elba was he had COVID-19 or he still has COVID-19. He seems to be doing fine. Like
Yeah. So, like, whenever you see it, honestly, I mostly see it on Snapchat in the little news boxes where it
yeah,
says,
that too.
like, ooh, COVID-19 scary, that kind of thing. Yeah, it affects young people too. It's like some of them.
I was like,
Sure.
yeah. But I do feel that we kind of needed the fear mongering just so we knew like how bad it was and that we needed to stay inside and like wash our hands, right?
Definitely.
We definitely needed the kick in the ass to, hey, like follow what we're
Oh,
telling
yeah,
you to do.
That's one thing that's very important is that, like, even if you over scare a population, the net is still positive, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you scare people too much, if you spread misinformation and you scare people too much, as long as the misinformation isn't drastically harmful and all it does is cause people to stay inside, it's still net positive.
Yeah.
Because this thing, yeah, not to say that we shouldn't take this seriously. We should take it very seriously because it is killing people.
Yeah.
Because our systems can't handle it, like our medical system. Volume of people going in. So it's definitely something to be taken seriously. I just think it's important. Outline that it is not that unpredictable of a flu.
Yeah. I feel like at this point it's definitely being more controlled in a sense because we're learning about it, right? And
Well, today in Ontario actually was like a huge decrease in daily cases. I think there's like 356 yesterday that happened.
I think I remember seeing that on Twitter
most
or
of it.
something.
Yeah. So the curve is
It's definitely
flattening in
It
Ontario.
definitely
So
is.
something's going right. Something's going right.
Oh yeah. Well, especially since a lot of people are also following the stay inside and try not to have contact with people, just because so it can't spread, right?
Exactly.
And
So it works.
I don't think a lot of people understand that, and they're kind of just like, like I know a lot of people don't understand that they can also be a carrier of the virus, and then they can bring it on to someone else. I don't think a lot of people understand that when they go out, that are still like optimistic.
People usually take it on a more personal level.
Yeah, I feel like the people that are very I'm gonna do what I want until I feel like for them to understand the severity and the seriousness of the virus, it's gonna take something personal for them to happen with the virus for them to understand how bad it is.
Yeah. It's like I was saying with I don't know about it, so it's not really affecting me that much.
Yeah.
So when people don't have a active present idea of how harmful it can be, and they're seeing all of these, I guess I wouldn't call them rights, I'd call them privileges being taken away. Like, the ability to go to restaurants, to go to work like normal, to see your friends and your family. Those privileges when they get stripped and they're not seeing any direct effect from this COVID-19, it's not like I understand why they're getting a little bit up in arms about it
Yeah.
because they just don't have they haven't really thought about how it's actually affecting people and it could affect them. It just hasn't yet.
Yeah.
Nobody they know has got it and nobody they talk to has got it. They don't have it themselves. For all they know, they haven't really had anybody die from it. They don't have an active view into like the medical facilities, how crazy things are right now. Like they just don't know. So no, it's definitely to them in their mind, they just see all these good things they like getting taken away, and so it makes sense, but they just haven't thought about it.
I think it's always been like that with the viruses that have spread, right?
Yeah.
Especially with Ebola, like that kind of just dipped off the radar in, I want to say, maybe a year and a half to 2 years, where it just kind of off the radar, where we just stopped talking about it.
I think the last guy to have Ebola actually got released from a hospital last year in Africa.
That's what I mean. I was like, if it's still such a, we also, it's not. I feel like we also know how to deal with that more often now, but we also had the same problem with Ebola that we did with with COVID, but we didn't take Ebola as serious because it was such a big nationwide spread. It was more, I would say, it was more contained virus than COVID is, and that's why we're not really having such a big.
Well, I don't think Ebola could spread as nearly as effectively as COVID-19 could.
That's
Like
what I
the
was saying.
biggest problem with Ebola was blood and fecal matter, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas with COVID,
blood.
it's airborne spit particles,
Yeah.
right?
So.
And I remember actually there was one case of Ebola that happened in I think St. Louis or somewhere in this American South, and I remember being like, "Oh shit! It touched down in North America. We're all fucked." But they contained.
Yeah.
And I think that is a lot of people's frame of reference. Early in COVID-19 was when it was, oh, it's gonna be like Ebola. There's gonna be one or two cases here. It'll be fine.
That was definitely
Like,
my
do you
thought
remember?
process on it.
Yeah. Like, and I remember I thought about it. Like, I remember I went to a party in Toronto at an Airbnb, and I was like, oh, um, I guess this is like a pretty hot spot that has a couple cases of COVID-19. Interesting. Like, I remember thinking about that, but I wasn't that worried about it. It was more in the back burner. Do you remember? But you know what was really funny? Do you remember all the hoaxes about COVID-19 that spread about like it was like oh these pictures of people falling over and dying in China,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like oh this new deadly Chinese virus is gonna spread all over the fucking planet and kill everybody. I'm like wait what?
Wait a minute. That's not no.
Like I remember when I heard that before I knew that COVID-19 wasn't really harmful in an isolated incident. When I heard that Tom Hanks got it, I genuinely thought, "Oh, he's old. He's probably gonna die from that."
Yeah.
No,
He's doing
he's
fine.
fine.
He's especially since he's taking the certain precautions to like avoid infecting anybody else and making it any worse for himself. You know. Also,
he made the right choice.
Oh yeah, he made definitely. I think what we're all just trying to touch on here is stay inside, keep the quarantine going for as long as we need it to. Make sure we're not spreading the virus. There is definitely a point in the curve where it was at its worst, but it's dying down now. I can't say that it won't happen again where it starts to shoot up again, but I don't feel like it'll be in such a bad manner since like you were saying, that our bodies will start to evolve to fight it, right?
It's more like we each have to get it.
Yeah, we each have to get it,
There's
experience it to a certain level, and then take the necessary precautions to become healthier, and then our bodies will understand that, like, or will evolve, and we'll be like, nah, bitch. Next time we ever come into contact with it. So
it's all about becoming stronger with it. And no, definitely like stay inside as much as you can really handle it.
yeah,
Just because the fact of the matter is, the more precaution we take now, the faster things will go back to normal, and the less rebuilding we'll have to do ultimately.
The thing is, like,
because the more we fuck up, the more time we take to get back to normal, to where we can start to rebuild, and the more we have to rebuild that.
Yeah, like you can go on walks. Like if you've been quarantined with your family members, You can go on walks with them, but make sure where you're going, like you're not gonna find anyone else. If anything, try to stay within your area or within your block of where you live.
Yeah.
If like go outside, take your time. Like
Don't go out of town. Don't go out of town
oh no,
if you don't.
definitely don't
If you
travel.
can handle it.
Just stay within your vicinity of your town or your city. And if you can, try to find an area where there's not a lot of people. Because I know there's been areas around where we live where it's just kind of like, why are you all jam packed in a single area because you found a place to go to? Like, if you see that many people there, why would you risk going there and making it worse? You know?
It's funny that you mentioned that because it's actually there is as much as I love a lot of the precautions that we're taking as a municipality and as a province
Yeah.
to thwart and to flatten the curve. I think that a lot of it is a bit misguided
Oh yeah.
because there's a really big issue going on in Toronto right now where they closed all the parks.
Hmm.
So now everybody who has to walk outside is crammed on the sidewalk, and
Yeah.
that's even worse.
Oh yeah.
So I think this whole limiting places people can go, because they say, oh, we have to close a park because people congregate there. It's like, well, yes and no. I feel like people now are smart enough not to know not to congregate at the park,
Yeah.
and I think that if you close the park and make it not accessible, you're just forcing people who aren't even congregating to be in closer quarters in their daily lives.
Yeah.
People
That's
who are
fair.
just taking walks and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like you can keep and a lot of places, thankfully, they're keeping a police presence nearby in
Yeah.
case people are congregating and doing like sports and that kind of thing. They
Yeah.
say, hey, stop doing that, get out of here, just disperse kind of thing.
Yeah.
But no, I think this whole closing the parks thing was might have been a mistake
It definitely is.
early on.
It's kind of reaching. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. But
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a mistake in the beginning, but it's proving to have been a mistake now.
that's a fair point. Yeah.
Like in theory, it sounds fine.
Oh yeah.
Limit the places people can. It's like, oh shit, well now they're just stuck somewhere else.
Yeah.
They should be staying inside, but
Yeah. Well, like just if you need to go outside, just go somewhere to sit outside, like in your property at least. Like I know for
well,
me,
truth is
it's
too, being outside is actually very helpful.
oh yeah, because I when this whole quarantine started, I definitely was feeling the pressure of being inside all day. And the one day I went outside, came back inside, and I just had like this fresh like thing in my brain where it was like, go do something besides lay in bed or watch YouTube, play video games all day, right? That's when I went and finished up some old projects that I had, and that
That
went on for a couple of
that's a great
days.
opportunity
Yeah,
too.
that went on for a couple of days, and that was just from me going outside to go, chill. And the weather was nice that day, so I was like, I might as well go see what it's like outside, and that pushed me to have a motivation where I was like, okay, like this isn't so bad. Like obviously we're going to stay in like this for a little while longer, but go outside, make the effort to go outside, have some fun. Like don't don't be at the level of staying inside where you're making yourself miserable, or where your house is becoming a toxic area to be in. So when you walk around the house, you're just like, fuck, I don't want to be here anymore. Right? Take the time,
Yeah,
get the time for yourself. Like go outside, but don't go and congregate with other people. Go within your property, go walk around, put some music on, go chill outside or something. You have to have the time to
well, I think
decompress yourself.
you have the choice. Like the way I see it, and honestly, like I like to think of myself as a pretty positive person.
Yeah.
I honestly see this entire thing as maybe a gift is too powerful of a word, but an opportunity
Yeah.
to really hone in a lot of things that you've been putting off. For instance,
Oh.
I put my drum kit back together in the garage. I've been playing that a lot more. I've been skating, learning some stuff, tricks. I have time to do that now. And really, you have the choice of how you view this. And if you view it negatively, you're going to think of it as a shitty time.
Oh, yeah.
But if you think, hey, I have all this time to do stuff, I don't feel pressure to hang out with people, though, like, that's fun, but it is a pressure, to hang out with friends. So I'm doing more stuff on my own.
Yeah.
And I think this is a very valuable lesson in not taking the normal for granted, which we really have been, and myself included. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's I don't think there was a single day throughout the school year where I wasn't hanging out with people
Oh yeah.
or going to work or working on projects with people or all three in the same day. Like
Yeah.
I was so busy. I was always doing stuff. My days were jam packed.
Oh yeah.
So the juxtaposition is jarring, but honestly, it's making me a lot more grateful for some things that I might have just
Oh yeah.
taken as a given,
Oh
like
yeah.
hanging out with people. That's a huge privilege.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I know a lot of college students, we move away from our homes and we go live somewhere, maybe an hour to a couple hours away, right? Some people, they're over in a different province or different country. And the fact of coming home and not being able to go out and do things, I definitely feel like it also taxes your brain where you're like, I'm at home, but I can't do things that are home to me, right?
Yeah. Well, it's a little for me. It's almost being like it's like being put in a time machine because this way of life that I've adopted over the past year is by no means anything that I did regularly when I was
Oh
younger. So all things considered, I have been shifted back in time to a point before I hung out with people.
yeah.
Like I can't remember spending this much time in my house since probably grade.
I would say probably
You might
yeah.
you might be different. You've been a lot more social than I have throughout the younger years,
I
but no, I definitely
I think for me it would be bridging off from grades 7 and 8 is when I was like starting to get out to hang out with friends more often.
yeah. I see. I didn't really hang out with friends until grade 9 or 10. So this to me, it's like being put back in time. Which again, I'm pretty grateful for that because I'm able to actually reflect on a lot of things that I do now
Yeah,
and be like, oh, that's good. That's different. I like that.
yeah. I also feel like it's
Yeah, very.
time for you to do some like self care for yourself, right?
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
it's it it is I would define it as a hard time, and if you keep viewing it as something negative, like you're saying earlier, like it's just not gonna be a good time for yourself. And take the time to like meditate or whatever, right? Like do something so that
I
your
I
brain
almost
helps
view
upstairs.
I almost view it as a extended lightweight. You ever hear what's called a dopamine fast?
Yes.
Yeah, so like the whereas in a dopamine fast you would spend 1 day not doing anything, no tech, no phones,
Yeah.
no music, no nothing, no friends. No. This is like an extended period of the dopamine fast where you're only really foregoing social interaction,
Hmm.
but it's the thought is still there. You're still giving up something, albeit involuntarily.
Yeah.
But you're shifting, a lot of things into perspective, and it's very. I think we're gonna come out of this a lot more positive.
Oh
You know.
yeah. We definitely will be. And I feel like we'll also be like you're saying, we'll be a lot more appreciative of what we have with our privileges.
Yeah, as we should be.
Yeah.
And they say there's a lot of studies saying that the key to a happy life is gratitude. And if this makes people more grateful for, things that are normal, that's net positive right there. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think my biggest fear of coming out of this is that we won't change and we won't learn. But I doubt that will be something that will happen. Because as
I
humans,
think some people will.
some people will definitely they'll stay as they used to be, and they're like, I'm not gonna change because this, and this happened. I, I
I mean,
definitely.
there are still people just hanging out with friends right now,
Oh yeah,
right? But
definitely.
there's people who are just not even changing their behaviors, so they're
Oh
not
yeah.
really doing anything. They're being the opposite of, foregoing
Oh yeah.
or forward thinking. I guess.
Yeah.
Not sure what I'm looking for, but.
Well, it's more.
But what I was gonna say earlier, actually, about being outside being important was actually, um, I don't think it was a proper, scientific study. It wasn't like peer reviewed or anything like that. But there was an observation done during the Spanish flu era, where because it swept the nation in mass, they set up these outdoor hospitals where they were in tents, and when the nurses had to clean the hospitals, they would take all of the patients, and those hospitals where patients routinely got sunlight and fresh air, they performed way better than the actual buildings
Oh yeah.
because there's a certain agent in like fresh air that is a natural combatant to these viruses and these germs, these diseases, and the UV sunlight just kills a lot of the bacteria on our skin, on the
Yeah.
ground around us, in the tents themselves. Like they performed way better. So you should be getting fresh air.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I feel like it's definitely something you should be doing on a daily is going outside and just like for even like 5 minutes at least, like just getting outside, feeling how
Yeah.
it like, you just go and chill outside. Like if you got if you like if you've been quarantined with a friend, right? Like I can see like go outside the quarantine. Like, if you've been quarantined with a friend, go hang with a friend outside. Family, go hang out with your family outside, right? Spend the time to like just go outside and have a blank mind. Just go outside. You know, it doesn't need to be
Yeah, chill,
anything
listen to
that's
music,
yeah. So go chill. Have a hammock
bring a
set up.
notebook, write something down.
Hey, exactly. One thing I have been doing is writing down a lot of how I've been feeling about this, like how I've been feeling personally. And I think a lot of what I've been kind of touching on within my writing is there's a lot of things that I took for granted before this all started. A lot. Having the time and spending time with your friends and those little moments that you have with them, that is something that I will value so much more. I'll value it differently than I did before because I already valued it very like specially to myself.
I was gonna say,
But with
yeah, it's not like
this,
we didn't value these things, but it's gonna hold a much different meaning.
oh yeah, it's gonna be a very different emotional style of meaning to us. And we're all. I feel like with that is especially if you haven't gone and see family very recently too, that seeing family will have a different meaning to you as well. And that's what I think we all need to take away from this is we need to value and understand and change the way we think to where when something we remember it and we hold on to it and we cherish it. Besides going like, oh, I'll remember this and I love this moment, and then just kind of going, that's it, and then passing it along, right? There's gonna be
Uh,
moments. It's definitely just gonna be those times where you see something after this and you're gonna go, this is amazing, and this is not, I'm not gonna ever forget this. Obviously, there are
yeah,
times where they're like that, but I also feel like in society we kind of see something that is very sentimental to us, and then go, "Oh, that was nice," and that was it, right? So,
yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's like well, I foresee really like we will see a lot of things, and because like I don't know, I would never say. I mean, hopefully this does not fall in the middle of our lives, right? You know, because that's up to time.
yeah,
But I think that for a good decade or two after this, because we're experiencing this in very formative years of our lives, like what we're 19, 20, like it's
yeah,
nothing crazy,
no,
but because it's in a more formative time of our lives, we're definitely going to be looking at a lot of things in the future. I think that there will be definitely moments for me where, for instance, I'm sitting in a restaurant with my friends, or I'm at a bar, or I'm at a cafe, and I'll be like, man, in spring 2020, I would I couldn't do this.
yeah,
Like I wasn't allowed to do this. I couldn't see these people. I couldn't be in this building.
mm-hmm.
I couldn't be talking to that cashier. I couldn't be outside really without feeling guilty.
Yeah,
So even just sitting here right now, existing here, is a huge privilege, and I think
oh
it's
yeah,
going to put a big smile on my face.
oh yeah,
And it should.
yeah.
It should. Life's fun,
But it is fun.
and
You
I think people
can't.
forget that.
Yeah, a lot of people do forget that. I know I for one was one that forgot that, especially initially getting into the quarantine. I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do? There's nothing to do at home, you know. And personally, I've rearranged my room, and that's made
Yeah.
me. That's that's a huge difference in my mental state. Huge different just
Huh.
from rearranging everything. Because coming home to seeing your room being set up the same way, and for me, I when I see certain things set up the same way they've been set up for a certain amount of like days or years, I just get tired of it, and it becomes toxic in a sense for me. Where I'll think about things and like why the setup has been the same and why my room is dirty and everything. Cause before I had my room like nice and clean and like set up like this, I my room was just a disaster. And I think it was because the way my room was set up, it made me think of the like back when everything was still good, and it was very. It made me lazy in a sense, where my automatically went, "This room is fucky, and we don't like what happened in here." So reorientating everything has shifted my mood, especially being within my room. And I feel like if we didn't have this quarantine had happened, I wouldn't have done this. I would have left everything how it was. But I also value the fact that I took the time to make sure my mental state was good. And I needed the change. And I feel like during this quarantine, we're all going to have moments where we're like, we need to change something in our lives so that we're happy. And I know some people that have like have some mental illnesses, especially with depression. I feel this is a very good time to try to self heal, self reflect, instead of trying to stay in the same old pattern. Because if you stay in the same old pattern, you're not going to really change anything. So having this time by yourself, I feel like it's a good thing to think about stuff, but don't overthink it. This is a very off tangent topic, but I feel like especially within the quarantine, you need to have the moments where you take the moment to try to see things in a positive light instead of a negative one, as much as you can at least. And I think we all need to do that in some form of way. Like even if we try something, like say like you're at home and you get bored and you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna try drawing or like writing something like poetry or something, writing a story, and you like do something and you get that dopamine fix of like, holy shit, I just did something, like I'm proud of it. Like if you have a guitar in your house that you never touched, pick it up and try to learn something, right? Like if you learn something, you know how good that's gonna make you feel. And I feel like if you like that feeling, it'll drive you and it'll give you motivation to keep doing something new. It'll keep your quarantine interesting too, right? If you do something like that, like
No, you have total control over how you use this.
yeah. Now, I know you touched on it earlier.
Because
But
I think a lot of people feel forced.
Oh yeah, a lot of people think
Well, a lot of
this
people
is
feel forced into it.
Yeah, and
Yeah, it's not.
it's like you're
Well,
not.
it is, but it's not.
It is, but
weird, right?
it's the in between balance of.
You don't have to look at it like it is. You can look at it like an opportunity, or you can look at it as a confinement.
Yeah, I think a lot
It's
of
up to
people
you.
are just very more towards the confinement style. I know now we're starting to lean towards more of okay, like it's it's an opportunity based situation. I think especially for a lot of us young people, we need to understand this is an opportunity for ourselves. Because I know people from our generation, we have a lot of issues with mental health and how we see ourselves as people, and we're at an age right now where we're still kind of trying to figure out who we are,
Mm-hmm.
and this is perfect time to talk to yourself about stuff, right?
Well, what's a good time now as well is like it's an important time to realize that, and this is gonna sound a little gloomy, but the only person that you truly have is yourself at the end of the day throughout everything. And I think that what certainly what happened to me, I would often bury my feelings in others, not literally like lean on them all the time, but it would
Yeah.
be like, well, if I didn't really want to face something, I would involve myself with some people, hang out, do something, and then
Yeah.
distract myself.
Yeah.
But I don't have any distractions here.
Yeah.
I find that I've been coming to terms with a lot of problems at a much healthier pace.
Mhm.
Um, Even some problems that I didn't even think about throughout the entire. Because again, I spent the entire year hanging out with people. I spent very little time by myself.
Mhm.
So this time now, where I can really just sit around and work on projects, pick up new things, throughout like around all that, it's not nearly as big of a distraction as other people.
Mhm.
So I'm definitely doing a lot more for myself and becoming a lot better friends with myself. And this is gonna sound like it's a little crazy ultimately, but like I'll do something really stupid and crack a joke and then kind of chuckle by myself. It's like it's fun shit.
Yeah.
It's figuring out how to be entertained and how to have an afternoon just by myself.
Yeah.
Just take things easy and appreciate everything, right? Like it's all about that. So it's that's why I see it as an opportunity. Is like, oh, I used to be very upset when it was like, oh, what, I'm spending a night by myself. Oh, that's shitty.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not really any.
I think being able to divert your own like thoughts by yourself, that's a quality that we all should have. Because if we rely on others to be happy, we ourselves aren't going to be happy in general. Because I know I used to do that when I was younger. Is like, if I know coming home I'm not gonna be happy, when I'm with my friends I'm gonna be the happiest I can be. Because that is the time that I'll find that I'm gonna have the best time. But coming home and having that feel like the upset feeling, and you're gonna be like, oh, right. It's just coming home and having the, as soon as it just you're gone and your mind is just numb. You just go upstairs, go to bed, wake up the next day, do the same thing. And I feel if you can't use your own devices as an asset to yourself, there is something to be learned from it.
Yeah, like if you're relying on others to have a good time, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Mm-hmm. You need
Like,
to.
that's not going to be a good
Yeah,
time at all.
you need to teach yourself that as a person, you can do stuff that's quite literally amazing by yourself because you were like, fuck it, I'll do it, right?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. So that's what I think I've been doing most of all of my time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, like, what have you been like? So you mentioned that you cleaned your room. I mean, I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I reorganized. I got some shit nice and set up.
Yeah.
I got it set up to a point where like I got something and be like, that's nice.
Yeah,
I like the way that
that's what I mean.
I'm
Like
happy with it.
that's what I'm with right now with my room. I was like, damn, right?
Like that. There's a spot back there, especially where I have like all my colognes. I have all my alcohols on like a
Yeah.
little mirror tray. I have some fake plants. I got the fucking neon pineapple right
Yeah,
there.
I was just,
It's a little area. I got my shoes on the shelf. Like I look at it, and I'm like, that looks nice. I like the way that looks.
That's what
And I do it every time.
That's my setup right now. I'll look at it and go, damn,
Yeah.
right?
Now, not everybody has that.
No.
A lot of people don't really care about the way that their place looks, which is fine. It's about what you like, but you gotta find something like that where you can do something and then repeatedly appreciate it,
Mm-hmm.
and it brings you joy.
Yeah.
Which I think everybody has it. It's just a matter of trying it out and finding it, and
Mhm.
that's why this time to yourself is important because you finally have that time. There's no excuses anymore. There's no I have to do this. Well, you don't have to
Yeah.
do.
You don't have to do
All you
anything
have
now.
to do right now is stay home.
Yeah.
Yeah. All you have to do is stay.
I think the main thing that I've really been doing is getting in touch with some older friends that I haven't talked to in a long time. I've been going on my console. I've been playing with the boys. You know,
Ooh,
that, especially that has made me appreciate having the time with my friends online. That's made me appreciate
it's bringing
that
me
quality
bringing me
time more.
back, man. It's
Oh,
bringing me
man.
way back.
Back to when you were.
'Cause I haven't played Xbox. I haven't played Xbox since like grade 9 or 10.
Oh man, dude, I've always been a big person that was into gaming, so I haven't really like stopped playing video games, but I definitely died down as soon as I got into college. And I do now
Well,
appreciate.
I just have so much
talking
more to
boys.
do, you know.
That's what I mean. You have so much more to focus on and to do besides playing video
Yeah.
games. But since now this has happened, you're kind of just like, let's get back into it, right? It distracts you at least.
Yeah, and you're remembering all that quality time. It's a bit of a distraction, but you're allowed to have those. You're
Oh,
allowed
yeah.
to not be bored.
You're
I'm not.
allowed-
I'm not saying every second
Yeah.
of this quarantine should be
Yeah.
constructive.
Yeah, it's like
That's
every
that's crazy. That's crazy.
every day you need to do something that makes you happy. Like sometimes you do have to distract yourself.
No, it's like you're allowed to chill and have fun.
yeah, like you
It's
have
good for mental health,
Oh yeah,
ultimately.
the thing like one of my
Like
buddies.
I've been playing more video games.
Oh yeah, one of my buddies that I play with online. He's from Finland, and we always
Yeah.
bounce off our ideals from like how we see it from different countries. And the main thing that I'm excited about is we discussed him coming over to Canada next year.
Yeah,
I get to meet I've known him for 6 years, and I get to meet him next year. So
that's tremendous. It's a great time to plan shit.
that's what I mean. It's a great time to plan shit. It's a great time, like, especially if you have previous bad relationships with like family or anything. Reach out, see how they're doing. You know, like obviously, I'm not saying you should, but if you do want to get to that reconnected state where you know that part of the family is okay, go ahead, right? Same thing with like friends
Yeah.
that previous friends that you haven't talked to in a while. Make sure they're doing okay. Just update yourself on what's going on, because I feel we've always just been so wrapped up in everything that we've been doing. We've just been so laser focused on our future. We haven't taken the time to see how a lot of other people are doing in our little world, right? And I think
Yeah.
we need to take the value of that and always try to do that whenever we can. It's just to make sure, like, hey, let's see what everybody's doing, instead of just kind of being dead focused on what
Well,
we
it's kind
really
of
want.
funny.
Like, you can do that, obviously, but just
What
expand
I
on
find
it.
kind of funny is like I always saw myself as somebody who values relationships more than I do like practical things,
Hmm. And
and projects and work and that kind of
yeah,
thing. But what's funny is that throughout the entire school year, I had always been like, again, like you said, laser focused on getting my work done, keeping busy. I made a lot of time for friends, obviously. Well, I wouldn't say that I made time more than I had extra time. I said fuck it,
yeah,
but I definitely had time for friends in there. But I noticed myself putting a lot more concern and time into my, and I'm like, I mean, that was fine. It felt fine, but it's not really me,
yeah,
you know. So now, if any is a time, now if any time is a good time to touch on all your bases and make sure that you're keeping up these relationships because they're fun.
definitely.
That's all you really take with.
Yeah.
Like jobs, when you have a job, you retire.
Yeah.
You can keep having a friend,
Oh yeah.
fucking for as long as you want.
That's a there's a lot of things where you can like reevaluate stuff, but like you said, you have a job, you can retire. If you have a friend, you can keep the friend. It's just not going to be like
Oh
a
yeah.
you can't choose just to retire from a friendship because you're getting tired of it. I guess you
Huh.
could, but like in a
Well, I mean, you
sense,
can,
it's
but you'd
like
be a
it's a can.
scumbag.
But
You'd be,
yeah, you'll be a complete asshole and everything, right? But then again, why? You know?
unless it's like a toxic friendship where they're
Oh yeah.
just like causing you nothing but grief.
Hmm.
There's no reason.
No.
So yeah, and you know what? It's not like a friendship can be a passive thing.
Hmm.
Like there is, unless it's just like a colleague.
Yeah.
If you want to have a genuine connection, you have to keep up with that. You have to
Hmm.
be like, "How's it going?"
And
Or even at the very least, send them a Snapchat,
I also
something.
think after this, we're gonna be a lot more social with everyone.
Oh yeah,
Like we're gonna be
big
out
ups.
doing things more. We're not gonna be sitting at home doing our Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram. We're gonna be a lot more social with one another because we've taken that for granted for so long. And since we've been taken that privilege has been taken away from us, like you said earlier, we're gonna value it so much more. I know I keep reiterating that, but I genuinely do like. I will love it if that happens. That is something that I want to happen.
What?
Is that
What?
when this quarantine breaks, I want everyone to become more social, more caring, more loving, and more passionate about what they do. I want I want to see that, especially in our generation, because I see a lot of lack of passion in what we're doing. There are a lot of our generation that do have passion, but I majority see of us just kind of going with the flow and just trying to get through our days to where we can work. I want to see the passion within this generation to choose a career that they love and that they push to excel at. That is something I want our generation to do. And I know a lot of people will say, well, that's just how the generations were. But I feel with this is we're gonna understand what we want to do more often, and we're gonna understand our own thoughts. And with that, I also feel that comes with a lot of determination and perseverance to push for something that you know is right or you know is wrong. There is a very fine balance between putting yourself on autopilot and then knowing what you want to do, because you're very influenced by other pieces of your life. With
Yeah.
this is,
Yeah, you're right. A lot of people act passively.
mhm. And I think we need to act less passively, and we need to take control of what we're doing. And I think this will help us because since we're being alone like we're gonna be by ourselves for quite a while. We're gonna know how to act on our own intuition and instincts, right?
Well, I think a lot of it is that people don't really know themselves.
That's what I mean.
They do what they think they should. Yeah, they do what they think they should do. Contextually,
yeah.
but they don't really know what they want. I think yeah, all this self reflection, all this time by yourself is going to make you, at the very least, understand what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get out of this, you're going to have a much clearer. Because I think that I like to think that most people are active people. Like
Yeah.
they if they want something, they will go for it. That's just people. I think the reason a lot of people don't do it is because they just don't have a clear vision of what they want to do.
Yeah.
But I think because of all this time by yourself, all this time where the world's on pause, all this time to plan, everyone is gonna not maybe not have a lifelong vision planned out, or even really that lengthy of a vision, but they're gonna have something to say. I
Yeah.
want to do this.
Yeah, I assume
I
they
want
can
to
have
start a
something.
business. I
Yeah.
want to make some art. I want to do this or that, and then they're gonna actually do it, and the gears will start turning again, and then maybe that'll kickstart them into a good, healthy relationship with themselves,
Yeah.
into doing what they want to do. Maybe, hopefully.
That's not hopefully right. I just want to
Yeah.
see. I don't want to see the laziness anymore with this. You know, because
Yeah.
I feel a lot of us for ourselves is as soon as we know something's wrong with us, we're kind of just like, meh, right? We've always just kind
What kind
of
of what? Sorry.
like if something is wrong with us, we always like felt sad, or if we had like a certain emotion going on, we're kind of just like, meh, we'll deal with it. We haven't
Yeah.
been like, oh, we should probably not be like this for a long period of time because I know it'll be bad for like my mind. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't say
No,
that
I think
that's
maybe a little more proactive after the
yeah,
fact.
that's what I mean. I'm not saying that people that are like depressed or anything are just like kind of like rolling that off. Like obviously some people can't roll it off, but people that do have depression, I feel it's a good opportunity to look at yourself and what makes you upset, and
Oh yeah.
what you think defines your depression.
I
And
just the one thing I don't hope is for people to because like I feel like it's too easy to waste this time.
oh yeah, definitely. I know I did for the first bit. I'm not now. I'm taking it a lot more serious, but I know a lot
Yeah.
of people are just kind of going, we're stuck here.
Yeah, which is a shitty attitude to have.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. It's gonna make your time in quarantine a lot worse.
Well, I think what's ultimately better because my attitude throughout the whole quarantine really hasn't been that I'm stuck. Because I like to think of myself as having a generally good attitude about
Oh yeah.
things. So this whole time is just like, all right, well, it's a thing I have to do, so I'll stick with it, whatever.
Yeah.
But what I think is a lot going to be very valuable is if it's okay if people at the beginning of the quarantine think that they're just stuck and that they're forced to do something. But I think that if they are able to take this time and have a change of mind to where by the end of it they more see it as an opportunity or they more understand how to take control. Because at the end of the day, and this is just a fact, the only thing that you really have is your perception.
Mm-hmm.
And you control how you perceive something for the most part.
Yeah.
So if you perceive something as negative, well, it's going to be shitty. Now, there is objectively shitty things, sure.
Oh yeah.
But you do have your outlook is totally your choice.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that if people are able to switch their outlook and understand that they have control over it, that would be tremendous.
Oh yeah.
Because like, are you ever doing something shitty? Like whenever I don't know, personally, whenever I'm doing something shitty where like I don't want to be doing it, even if it's just something mundane. Like for instance, like I remember I worked at Nando's for I mean I would have been working there for like 3 months, but it got cut short. So like
Yeah.
more like a month and a half. I worked at Nando's as a server, and they were like, "Can you go?" It was like some shitty job where I had to like clean up some shit on the floor, and I was like, "I really don't want to do that. It's gonna be, hard work. It's gonna be really shitty. I don't want to do it at all."
Yeah.
But then I was just like, "Fuck it, it'll be funny," and then I just did it.
Yeah.
And not everybody has that capability. I'm sure that if it was like actually a shitty thing, like if someone was like cut off your finger, I wouldn't be like, well, this would be funny. Like it'd be shitty.
Like,
But
dude,
you
no.
have control. You have control to an extent of how you perceive something, and if people can understand that throughout this,
Perfect.
bang on.
Yeah. Well, we've been kind of all over the place with this, but I think it's a good place to stop because I feel like we've all kind of just expressed what we have.
Yeah. Well, and we talked about the logistics of it. We talked about the beginnings of it, and then we talked about the perception of it, which is all three.
It's just what I think.
Bang, bang.
Like that's what we need to focus on with all this, right? So
Yeah.
that is,
I think I mean it was supposed to rain today. I don't think it's raining. I might go for a skate.
there you go. I'm probably gonna go outside to go get some fresh air after this because
Fuck yeah!
I've been inside all day.
I have been inside most of the day.
So yeah. All right. Well, that
Anyways.
is episode 1 of Quarintine Thoughts.
Epic and sexy.
Big sexiness. I'm sure the next podcast won't be as serious, and we'll have a little more
A little more
fun
fun.
with it. Yeah, and hopefully we'll have the two
no, we
others that were supposed to be here. But
Yeah, but we got the business out of the way.
We get the business that way. Y'all ready for the bullshit?
The bullshit is gonna be stupid.
Oh yeah, it's definitely. All right, y'all.
That's tremendous.
Doses.